I sat in the silent mind where I was essentially sitting in the lap of the universe at one with all that was, and yet I still had this body. I still was alive.
Did you see God?
You know, I essentially was God. We did what, you know, it depends on how you define God. What is God? Is God something that is separate to you? To me, God is the energy of all that is, the all-knowingness, the fluidity, the slow tranquilness of all that moves, and
yeah.
And so
what
I
you're
dissolve
saying
back
is,
into that.
What you're saying is, let me help you, because when you say you're God, people go crazy.
Thank you very much.
They think you're the Beatles. You think you're the Beatles.
Yeah.
What you're saying is you could see your connection to the omnipotence and enormity of that which is God.
Separate from it.
You were not separate from
I was
God.
no longer separate.
You could see how you were a direct part of God.
Yes.
A part of God.
Yes.
And so you sort of flow into that energy that is God.
Yes, exactly.
And how we are manifesting as a physical being or entity coming from that source that is God, that we call God.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And so in that condition, I was alive and capable of having that experience and no longer feeling separate from.
One of the things I love that you said at the end of the chapter on the day of the stroke, I wondered how I could have spent so many years in this body, in this form of life, and never really understood that I was just visiting here. Yeah. And I think that for me and for those of you who are listening or part of this, that's one of the great lessons that we can get from you is, you know, not to have to experience the stroke, but to hear what your vision and your insight from this experience has allowed you to know about what is true for all of us.
Yeah, and I feel very blessed. You know, I feel blessed that I was prepared. My mind was essentially prepared to watch this experience happen, and then the experience happened, and then I was fortunate enough to be surrounded with what I needed in order to recover.
Well, I want you to come back, and we're going to talk about your recovery and your motivation to come back from this place of, you know, I've heard other people talk about, quote, near-death experiences. Was this near-death experience for you?
Well, I didn't have the lights and I didn't have the experience, but I did almost die. So from that perspective.
Yeah. And so I can't wait to talk to you again.
So thank you.
Thank you. My stroke of insight, Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor. Thanks, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this edition of our Soul Series. These are some of my favorite conversations.
To hear more, sign up for a free 30-day XM radio trial by going to www.xmradio.com/Oprah.